And we're back here at the American Dairy Science Association meeting once again with Usman Arshad. I'd like to be able to call you Dr. Arshad, but I guess I can't do that just yet. You're defending in what, just about a month?
Yeah, I will be defending next month,
Yeah.
19th of July.
Yeah, defending at the end of July at the University of Florida.
Yes.
So had a storied career there with Dr. Jose Santos. So welcome back. We did a session with you just a little bit ago. Understand you've got a poster that you'll be presenting on Wednesday of this week, and that's titled Rumen-protected Choline Influences Hepatic Metabolism During Induction of Fatty Liver. So why don't you give me some background in terms of the thesis or hypothesis for that poster?
Yeah, so previously Dr. Grummer and his colleagues, they actually induced fatty liver in cows, and then they showed that choline acts as a lipotropic agent. But we did not know actually how much choline should be fed to the cows. So then Dr. Charles Staples and colleagues, they conducted another experiment where they had different levels of choline ion, and they observed a linear decrease in the concentration of hepatic triacylglycerols. So still I would say the exact amount of choline which should be fed is unknown. And another question is whether a source containing low concentration of choline chloride versus high concentration of choline chloride, how it can impact the hepatic metabolism. And the third one, which was the key objective behind this experiment, to elucidate the effects of choline with two different amounts and with two different sources on the hepatic metabolism and lymphatic composition in dairy cows.
Okay. And so what's your opinion of using this model to determine relative bioavailability of choline in an animal?
Well, we can certainly do that, but the only problem is if you infuse choline, it's not that you will infuse choline and then you measure the concentration of choline in blood, and then you can take the difference, how much you infused, how much it showed up in the blood. Well, in my opinion, choline, it can be uptake by the tissues as well, because choline involves in synthesis of cell membranes. So we would not know how much choline is going towards intestinal tissues or how much choline is going towards kidneys or hepatic tissues or spleen. So we might underestimate the bioavailability of the cows.
Very well. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Dr. Ryan Ordway, back once again. Thank you again for joining us, Ryan.
I'm a veteran podcaster
You are now, absolutely.
Yeah, so this was, again, another pretty interesting, groundbreaking study. It, really looking at a variety of different things, as you had mentioned, a couple different prototypes, different levels of product, and really I think the key difference was, and this one was looking at circulating levels of triacylglycerol in plasma versus lymph system. Is that correct?
Yes. So the idea was when Dr. Charles Staple and Marcus, they conducted an experiment. So what they did actually, they induce fatty liver by imposing feed restriction. And when you impose feed restriction, meaning that you are not giving enough calories to the cows whatsoever are needed. So this is kind of an intestinal insult. So this intestinal insult leads to the leaky gut. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what they did there, they actually induced fatty liver or provided intestinal insult to the cows, and then they fed them with the source of fat. They fed them with saturated fatty acids because they thought that choline can enhance the integrity of the intestinal cells, so it might increase the digestibility of the fat. It might increase the digestibility of nutrients. So we also followed the same concept here, and we replicated the same experiment. And when we fed the cows, we not only looked into the triacylglycerol in the blood, we also collected lymphatic fluid from the supramammary lymphatic vessel of the cows. Interestingly, we found increased concentration of triacylglycerol in the blood and in the lymphatic system as well. So which suggests that choline is might enhancing the digestibility of the nutrients. That's one component. And second, if you feed a dietary source of fat to the cow at the level of intestine, that triacylglycerol is going to be packaged inside the chylomicron. And now chylomicron is another lipoprotein. So We know that choline can enhance the synthesis of phosphatidylcholine, which is also used for the synthesis of chylomicrons. So probably there is more digestibility of the nutrients, concurrent with increased synthesis of chylomicrons that might be enhancing the absorption of those triacylglycerols. So if this really works, then if you feed choline during the transition period, it might enhance the digestibility of the nutrients. So cow would be able to consume those nutrients in more efficient way than non-supplemented cows.
All right, so what does that mean to all the listeners out there? We know how it's impacting the cow. What does it mean for dairy producers, nutritionists, veterinarians?
Well, this means how much efficiency of the nutrients is being utilized by the cow to synthesize the milk, you know. So if you have nutrients, if you have more digestibility of the nutrients, the cow would have more substrates available for the synthesis of milk fat or for the synthesis of milk components. Eventually they're going to increase the fat yield or the or milk components. That would certainly be good for the productive performance of the cows and obviously for the economics of the dairy herds.
So more money, better health.
Yep.
That's
More
all.
money,
it is.
better health. You are right, Ryan.
Very nice. Very nice. So what? Again, these studies are so. I mean, the research coming out of Dr. Santos's lab it just continues to be so robust. What are some of the other key factors, key results that you would like to talk about from this research?
So, well, we looked into the different blood metabolites, and one of the metabolite was haptoglobin. And haptoglobin is actually an acute phase response, which is kind of a marker for the inflammation. So interestingly, cows who were fed with choline, they had reduced concentrations of haptoglobin, meaning that the inflammatory reactions, they were less in those cows. So if you have less inflammatory response, that might also reduce the injury to the hepatocytes, and that might also reduce the risk of fatty liver in those cows. So it's not only increasing the synthesis of lipoproteins or enhancing the digestibility or enhancing the productive performance, it also has less inflammatory response in those cows. That might be better to have less inflammatory events after the onset of calving, like written placenta or mastitis or matritis. So choline might have indirect immunomodulatory effect to improve the immune function of the cows.
So this has to be interesting for Dr. Santos because he, when he was at the University of California, he did some research. I think it was published under the Lima.
Yes, Fabio Lima.
And that research showed just general improvements in health. Matritis, reductions in ketosis, et cetera, but just sort of observational data. So this is really maybe getting to helping understand some of those mechanisms as to what was observed in some of his previous research 15 years ago.
Exactly. You can say that because I think they conducted experiment in 2012. Yes. So they supplemented cows with Rumen-protected choline, I think during that transition period, 21 days before calving until 80 days postpartum, and they observed less retained placenta and mastitis, as you said. But later on, a lot of studies have been doing that with the in vitro aspects, where they were actually challenging the immune cells, such as neutrophils, with the lipopolysaccharide, which is LPS. So if you feed choline, so they showed that feeding choline can enhance the immune function because there was more oxidative burst, or you can see here there was more the activity of the neutrophils to phagocytize the antigen was more in choline supplemented cows. So that's how probably choline is enhancing the immune function of those cows.
This is pretty, sorry Scott, I keep interrupting you, but I'm going to geek out here a little bit on the science side. It's, pretty fascinating because ReAssure's been out for 20 plus years, almost 25 years, I think. And, we've always generally heard in the past, right, animals seem to be healthier,
Yeah,
just
doing better.
not
Doing
as
better.
lethargic, just generally better. And now we're finally able to, with this type of research, able to elucidate why that general, cows look generally better is actually happening. It's a real
Yeah.
real scientific biological process is going on.
That's a very good point, Ryan. Usman, as we kind of wrap things up here, have any final thoughts you'd like to leave with the audience?
Yes, so I really hope when I go back to my country, we are a country with almost 2 million dairy cows and 42 million dairy buffaloes we have. And
Let's just say that country is Pakistan. Right?
yes,
Just so
in
for the audience.
Pakistan,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. So, but it really surprised me that people in our country, they are not familiar with the new concepts of methyl donors feeding, like, choline, methionine, betaine. So certainly I would like to start as an initiative in this area in my country, and I would like to conduct some research on this to gain the confidence of our general public, dairy producers, farmers, and introduce them with modern concepts of balanced dairy ration. So that's the number one thing which I would like to do that.
Okay, and have you secured a position yet over there?
Yeah, so I'm already a faculty member. I earned an assistantship here, so I am going back there. I would resume my faculty position.
At
And
what university?
It's a University of Veterinary and Animal Sciences, Lahore.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. I wish you the best of luck, and the next time I see you, I hope I can say Dr. Arshad.
Well, you would say that.
We'd love to hear your comments or ideas for topics and guests, so please reach out via email to anh.marketing@balchem.com with any suggestions, and we'll work hard to add them to the schedule. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating on your way out. You can request your Real Science Exchange t-shirt in just a few easy steps. Just like or subscribe to the Real Science Exchange and send us a screenshot along with your address and t-shirt size to anh.marketing@balchem.com. Balchem's Real Science Lecture Series of webinars continues with ruminant-focused topics on the first Tuesday of every month, monogastric-focused topics on the second Tuesday of each month, and quarterly topics for the companion animal segment. Visit balchem.com/realscience to see the latest schedule and to register for upcoming webinars.